Welcome back, everybody. Back to work on the metal on my 1968 Mustang coupe named Felony that we are going to be swapping a BMW M54 B30 into eventually, along with some other BMW goodies for steering and suspension, etc. It's going to be a really cool project when it's done, but we got a lot of work to do still. Last week you saw me put together the entire cowl section with some repairs to the flanges that it mounts on, upper and lower A-pillar outer skins that were all damaged and corroded from years of horrible body work and repairs, and a vinyl top that leaked at one point. Everything there is repaired, and we got nice solid structure back in here. I could probably take these supports out. I'm going to leave them in for a little bit while we repair the lower part of the firewall, which I've actually started to do. I've started to work in this panel here. This is the toe kick, toe board, whatever you want to call it, the lower section of the firewall, which I've just been slowly picking away at, cutting pieces off and fitting it to the driver's side. I've got it pretty close right now. I need to just do some more fine cuts on the tunnel side, and on the floor I have to cut out a piece of this floor pan that is supposed to overlap it, make it fit up nice. Once we do that, we'll probably tack it in place, weld through primer it and all that good stuff, and move to the passenger side. I'm going to try and get these two toe boards done in the next 2 days. I'm going to get right to it. We're going to start working this piece and get it into place. So pretty much been grinding at this piece all day. Basically, I had it sort of snug fit with the excess like overlap and everything, but it was sitting about a ½ inch off the floor support of the frame rail here. So what I actually had to do is I had to cut it short of where it's going to meet up with everything so I can inset it, and I'm actually going to section in, like stitch in a piece all the way around, because that was really the only way I could get it to sit in there properly. I guess when I put the floor in, it was a little bit off with the tunnel and everything, so it wasn't quite lining up to the point where it would be touching everything. And I do have to get spot welds on the floor supports here, so I'm trying to just take this slow and do it nice and make it all solid. So I've plug welded the toe board in place. Now I'm going to use these 5/8 strips, so I basically just cut the width of a small strip of tape. I'm going to use these to patch, section the whole thing in all around. Then it'll be one solid piece of floor on the driver's side and we'll be done. First I got to weld through primer this one because it's going on the floor support. Stop yesterday because this corner piece was just driving me nuts, but I got it kind of figured out. relatively decent fit on the inside corner, and I can punish the floor pan and this piece to fit. So I'm gonna zap this part in, and then we just have this to fill and the top of the firewall, and we're good to go. Okay, been chipping away at this driver's side floorboard all day, and I'll show you guys where I'm at. So I've got the bottom basically all stripped and patched in. Silver circles here. This is actually where there's some pinholes. Thinking I might do, once everything's together and I'm working on the bottom side of the car, is actually run a strip over where I've welded and lap over and just reinforce that entire joint, and then along the firewall as well. That might make things a little bit stronger. You can see here I seam welded along the side here instead of doing spot welds. I get stitch weld, seam welded anyways, so I figured that'd be best because we're actually going to go along the floorboard and do stitch welding, seam welding, whatever you want to call it, and then I just zapped a bead to the firewall there. The last part I have to fill in is this funky little area here underneath the steering column mount. I'm going to continue working on this, try and finish up the driver's side and maybe move on to the passenger side by the end of the day. All right, so the driver's side is in and all one piece. I threw some weld through primer over the seam that I finished up just to stop it from rusting from now. I got to do a little work on the back side, fix a couple spots that I overlapped and everything, trim them up. I'm gonna weld them from the back side, a whole bunch of stuff, but it's too tight in there, so I can't even really show you until after it's done. I'm moving on to the passenger side now, and it's gonna require a lot of fiddling. So I don't really wanna film and just do a bunch of filler with me throwing this thing in another 400 times. I'm gonna take a little break because I nuked my pinky pretty good with the sheet metal and it's gushing blood underneath that tape. So I'm gonna go deal with that and then probably come back down later, work on the fit up of this thing, get it all situated, and then I'll show you guys when it's time to start cleaning up the edges welding. Okay, so I've had the patch panel in and out of this car about 7,500 times. I got it to fit to where I'm happy with it. I'm gonna lap over the joints this time. I'm not gonna butt them because it was a real big pain in the ass on the driver's side, and I did blow through a couple spots, and I don't wanna have to repair a bunch of little pinholes and stuff on this one. We'll beat our seam sealer over top, try to hide it. Not really hide it, but just seal it up and it'll be fine against weather and stuff. It was way too tedious on the driver's side, and it's not really worth it, in my opinion, for something that, you know, is gonna get covered by probably a footrest or an aluminum floor pan or anything like that. So just reach out behind you here. Oh, sorry about that. So yeah, panel is cut substantially smaller than it was. Yeah, I'm gonna throw this in and probably tack it on the sides, and then again, we'll stitch weld the seam on this side. Should work out pretty good. Okay, it's actually way later in the day. I had to run some errands and take care of cleaning the daily drivers and stuff. But I got the floor panel tacked in place, and now I've got an excessive amount of hammering to do. I got it close to everything fitting up. I just have to kind of plenish the edges into place. I have to plenish out this way, and that will actually close that gap up a little bit. Although I might not be happy with it enough, I might cut just a little strip of 5/8 filler piece just to put in there, but the rest of it overlaps pretty nice. It's actually pretty close to butting. And that part there that you can see the daylight through, it just actually has to be pushed this way a little bit to link up. Everything else is tacked into place and fitting up pretty nice. So we'll just have to work this edge a little bit to have it sit down. This thing is pretty well in place. And I went ahead and did the plug welds on the floor support. I have to push this seam over a bit because the overlap for the torque box and the bottom of the floor is in there. So I kind of have to just like kink it over top of those a little bit, and then I can stitch weld all along the seam, and then we can get to welding the rest. So I'm going to plenish these edges out into place and then start to zap it. Well, Felony has a floor. Done. Got the passenger side all welded in. There's some not so great welds on it. I will clean them up and probably fix them up another day. It won't be tonight. That's gonna do it for this week. This is a really short episode, but this is basically all I've had time to work on this week, and that's just how it goes sometimes. I want to thank everybody again for taking the time to watch, taking the time to check out the last few episodes, the mountain, of course, and the last episode working on the cowl and the aprons and firewall and all that stuff. That was a lot of work over 2 weeks. It was a great time. I would love to put out stuff like that every week, but it does take a shitload of filming and a shitload of editing and stuff like that, and thought and, you know, money and time and all that stuff that a YouTube channel really doesn't give you. It's done. This is another small step in the process, and I'm really happy it's finished. I swatched a little bit of the interior color that I want to use and the chassis color, and I'm really happy with it. And I think it's gonna turn out really well. So probably next episode you'll see these things a little bit more finished out and maybe even seam sealed and covered up a little bit more, just to clear up all the welds and everything, make it all good. Oh my God, it's mosquito season here. It's getting really bad. I'm happy with it, and it's gonna hold together. It's gonna be strong. It's never coming apart, and if it does, I will not own the car anymore. Thank you again for watching. Thanks again for stopping by the shop. As always, please like and subscribe. Feel free to comment and all that stuff. I respond to absolutely every comment I can, and I really do appreciate your guys' feedback, good or bad. That's just how it is. Time is valuable to me, and I appreciate the support no matter what. I'm gonna open up the shop door and air it out in here because it is smoky as frig. As always, guys, please be kind, drive hard, and at some point, I'll see you on the road. Have a good one. Oh, my legs hurt.